Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on how to do a life audit. Let me introduce myself, take a few minutes here. My name is Kay Montgomery. I'm a professional speaker, coach, trainer. I work with the John Maxwell team, and I am so excited to have you join me here today on looking at our life and evaluating the things that are working and not working in the different areas of our life. That is basically what a life audit is. And although I am doing this right now at the beginning of a year, any time is a good time to stop and take a look at what's going on in our life. We generally have 5 areas that we look at when we're looking at our life. They are these areas: physical, spiritual or mindfulness, relationships, financial, and our working environment or our career. Now, we're going to be looking at 4 of these. We will not be talking about finances here today. That can be another time, but the same processes that we use today to look at these other parts of our life can be used in your financial life as well. So let me encourage you to grab a pen and paper or something to take notes on. You're going to want to make some notes and make some lists, and you want to go back and listen to this again. It's going to be available on YouTube as a repeat. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get so much out of this today. I know you will. And what is a life audit? I went over a quick review just a moment ago, but a life audit is basically going over our life, our whole life, every part of our life. Now, that may seem a little overwhelming. Sometimes it can, seems like so big, maybe you feel stuck. But we're going to go at it piece by piece. It's really just a long, detailed, and honest look at the various areas of our life and to see what's working for us and what's not working for us to help us along to reach our potential and our dreams. A life audit involves becoming aware of what you really want in life and what aligns with your mission, and then also assessing your current situation to see what is and isn't moving you along that direction. It's going to involve some honest soul searching and can really, if you really dig deep and do this the right way, it's not for the faint of heart, because it might pull up some uncomfortable feelings or realizations if you're brave enough. Yeah, we're going to do this today. Get your pen and paper, get yourself ready to do some deep soul searching. Here we go. Because life audits can be incredibly empowering and inspiring. Many people find that they find improvements in the areas of their life that they're not really looking at within this life audit. They may be concentrating on one area of life and find that they're improving in other areas of life, because it's all connected, isn't it? We're all connected. There's no part of us that's separate from any other. It all blends together, doesn't it? We're an integrated system, if you will. So making a change, for instance, in our relationship can also improve our environment. Makes it more positive and peaceful. And all this can be quite powerful. That's why I'm excited about what's going to happen in our lives today and in your life. I know that this is good for me as well. We're going to be discussing areas where we might need to make some changes to align with our goals and our missions. And we'll discuss ways to implement those changes in it more easily. What to look for, signs and things that show us that maybe this is an area we need to pay some attention to. This is an area we need to work on. So we're going to be going through this stuff. Has anybody here actually done a life audit before or know someone who has? Feel free to leave a comment. This is a great time to do that. Get your pen and paper ready. Here we go. Again, a life audit is looking at our life, but before we get started, it's important to know where you want to go. What do you hope to achieve by this life audit? What are your goals and the things that you hope will change in what areas? In order to be effective, a life audit and to truly maximize your chances of achieving your happiness and purpose in this, you must have a clear idea of what you want your life to appear like after we get finished with the audit. What do you want your life to look like? So some people call this mission or a vocation. It's really just your purpose. What do you know your sense of purpose? Fulfillment and achievement is what we see from integrating and balancing our work with our personal lives and our personal goals. You know, if you look at a healthier lifestyle, If that's a real important goal for you, that's great. But what does that mean? Just a healthier lifestyle. Being as specific as possible instead of general. Just in general, healthy lifestyle can mean a lot of different things. But does that mean that you're going to exercise in specific ways? You're going to change your eating habits in certain ways? Being as specific as possible greatly increases your chances of accomplishing what you want to do here today. And to succeed, to really succeed, I've already mentioned, we have to dig deep and be honest with ourselves and look at the things that are going on in our life and what we want to change and how we want to change that. So a personal mission statement. I don't know if anyone's ever written a personal mission statement, but it's a good place to start. If you've never written a personal mission statement, or even if you have, take a look at your one you've written before, or think about what your personal mission statement, what is your life mission? Think about it this way. If we were taking a hike up a mountain, the mountain itself would be the mission, the purpose, the goal, if you will. And the path we take, that's the goal. Those are our goals, our steps to get there, the goals that we make along the way to get to our mission. And the guardrails to keep us on the path are our core values. So we're going to be talking about our mission, we're going to be talking about specific goals, and we're going to be talking about core values. This is a great way to integrate that. So no matter what field we work in, what our personal life looks like, and what our goals are, there's one key fact. We have to find our why. That is what our mission statement is. Why? What are the things we want to accomplish and why? Someone has said, if we find our why, we find our way. So take a moment, think about what your mission statement would be. Make some notes. It doesn't have to be, nobody has to see it. Everyone's mission statement is just a little bit different from everyone else's. In the resources, you'll find a great link to an article in the Huffington Post that talks about why you need to create a mission statement and what that entails. My mission statement is helping others discover that they have to be intentional. We have to be intentional in our life. We can take charge and build the life of our dreams. That my hope, my mission is to declare that to people in such a way that they can begin to respond to that and understand that. Whatever your mission statement is, think about that. You can come back to it in a little while. And when we're done, if you want to, so something to work on. What is your mission? Well, number one way to get there is to write down, here we go, writing down, what do you want your ideal life to look like? If everything, all of the limitations were thrown out the window, what would your ideal life look like? Where do you see yourself in this life? Where is it taking you? Where do you want to go? Does it include relationships, career, environment? All these things are part of it. What do you want your ideal life to look like? Number two, write down this. What is your current life? What does your current life look like? What does your today life look like? And then, of course, number three, one of the hardest things to be honest about. I challenge each of us to be honest with ourselves and honest with this process. How is your ideal life different from your daily life now? And this can show us areas that we need to work in. It can clarify what things we need to do. This is a powerful exercise to clearly show us which areas of our life we need to focus on and where the biggest changes need to be made. It will help us to gain clarity and even help us show us things that we maybe weren't quite aware of. So this is a great thing. What is your life like now? How does that compare to your ideal life? What are the differences? What areas do you see right away that you need to spend a little attention on? We're spending a lot of time on this because our intentions speak so much. We all possess the power to create and manifest our desires. And if we're not sure what our desires are, then how on earth can we begin to achieve them? Drawing our attention inwards and aligning our actions with our goals and core beliefs is a surefire way to start a life audit on the right track. So we're looking inward to begin with, and we're going to line that up with the things that really matter the most to us. Long-term focus and clarity produce far more effective results because the mind is ultimately an extremely powerful thing. The thing that we think of, the thing that we dream of, can become our reality. And in fact, does become our reality, whether we're really aware of it or not. The thing that we focus our attention on becomes our life. The thoughts we have are a direct manifestation of our conditioned beliefs, our habits, and existing neural pathways. And what science has found that our neural pathways can be reprogrammed. This is the exciting part. We can reprogram our neural pathways. Now, it's a process. It takes some real work. It takes some digging deep, but we can. So when we find that we need to make some changes, let's understand that we may be needing to redirect our neural pathways. And one way to do this is to, first of all, we have to become a little bit more self-aware. We have to be honest with ourselves. We have to be aware of what's going on. We have to be honest about what may be limiting us, our core beliefs, our conditioned beliefs, I should say, and how that might be playing a role in our life to keep us from accomplishing what we want to accomplish, and to keep us in a position or a state of failure. So we all possess the capacity to heal and transform our lives. All of us do. So there's a great article in Cobra.com and in your resources. Look that up. It's a great place to start. It's a powerful read, and I urge you to check it out. All right, now to the real work. Are we ready? Are you brave enough? I believe you are. We're going to be talking about progressive mental alignment, or PMA for short, progressive mental alignment. For achieving goals and making large life choices, this is something that we need to look at. Life audits fall into the category of large life changes. And while intelligent decision-making and awareness have always been known to affect the level of life satisfaction that we achieve, the science behind PMA, progressive mental alignment, examines the subconscious inhibitors, such things that are holding us back that may be not on a conscious level, but beneath it. We all possess these in our brains, and they prevent us, they hold us back. When we try to make large-scale changes, they hold us back into a safety zone. It's really a survival instinct. But to push past that, we have to intentionally leave our comfort zone and embrace our growth zone. It's an uncomfortable place, but we have to intentionally be willing to move there. Scientists have discovered a group of improvement blockers that they call bad clusters. They're called the root cause of negative influence in our thinking processes. They keep us from doing those things that we know we want to do or need to do. If something is mentally getting in the way of achieving your goals, PMA, progressive mental alignment, lining up your thought pattern in a progressive way, will help to change and realign the beliefs and thought patterns. Progressing in alignment with clear mental and emotional goals. You understand, clear, specific mental and emotional goals. Progressing in alignment, making our thinking line up with what we really want, our goals. It's much better to be specific than just general, or we have to be aware that this is what we really want and not just what we should do. That will never make it. What we should do. Do it? Do we really want? We can think of this in terms of life auditing and use it as we go forward with the process. PMA, progressive mental alignment. Over time, bringing our thoughts into alignment with what we need and what we want. Core Values 101. How about that? What are core values? I said that they were the guardrails on the path that we're walking up toward the mountain. Core values are the things that we base all our decisions and our reactions upon. They're the things that we base really our life upon. They're the fundamental beliefs by which we build our lives. They dictate our behaviors, decisions, and actions. And whether consciously or unconsciously, they are, in essence, our understanding of the difference between right and wrong. So it's good to examine these core values and perhaps identify what is important to you. In order to audit your life to a more positive place of authenticity and personal fulfillment, it's crucial to identify core values. No positive change in your life will be lasting if it does not align with these core values. I'd like you now to think of maybe 3 people in your life who have influenced in the way you see your world. And this can be your starting point for identifying some core values. Right now, write down 3 to 5 core values. If you can, in order, begin to make the list. You may find that you have to edit it, change it around, move it around. But what is the most important core values? Is it honesty and integrity? Is it family? Is it faith in God? Is it something else? Is it creativity? All of these can be core values. What's important to you? And each of us are different here. There's no requirement to share, but you're welcome to, if you like, your core values. Maybe it's health and mental well-being. Write down what's important to you. Aha. So now that you've gotten started on that, we're going to look at this. Sometimes our core values can be obvious. When we're not in alignment with our core values, there's this uncomfortable, out of place feeling. You may recognize this from situations where someone was doing something, perhaps you knew of a partner that was cheating on a friend, and how it made you feel. It made you feel out of place, or maybe it didn't, but perhaps if it did, it may suggest that honesty and integrity are really high on your list of core values. Other times it may not be so obvious. You may just have this feeling of disease that's kind of uneasiness that's hard to identify. But think about the things that make you feel good, but your clarity on the matter is a little blurred. So the examples of core values can include some of these I've already mentioned, but I'll mention them again: health and well-being, family and friendships. If relationships, if your family is one of your really top on your list of core values, then you may thrive best in a positive home environment. That might be really, really important to you. It's important to most everyone, but it may not be as high on the list. It varies from different people. Perhaps creativity, we've spoken of that. If you're creative, then your art will undoubtedly inhabit a very important place among your day-to-day pursuits. Cultivating creativity and finding new ways to express yourself are going to rank really high on your list. How about teamwork? In a business environment, if teamwork is high on your list, then you may choose to conduct your business that revolves around people and team, and surround yourself with people and team. That may be the way you really want to conduct your business. Then teamwork is high on your list. So we'll keep working on that list of core values. Your core values are different from others. Don't compare it to anyone else. Turn inward and do the work. There's some resources and a list of resources I gave you that will help you a little bit with this. Spend a little bit of time, write down your core values, look at what you've written down and see if they need to be rearranged or something added or deleted. And as we're going forward, looking at our life, let's think about the difference between wants versus needs. This isn't always so easy. So I'll have a couple of questions to help guide us along the way. Ask yourself the following questions. What do I really need to be happy? When I asked that question, what was the first thing that came to mind? What do you really need to be happy? And yours is different than every other paper, can be different than others. It almost always brings you into alignment with your core values, that first answer there. Then the next question is, what do I think I need to be happy? These are usually wants disguised as needs. And number 3, are there things that I want that I can really do without? This really does help you to start culling back some of those wants and identifying what things are really, really needful in your life. Be honest and open. A life audit won't work unless you get used to dealing with some of the uncomfortable stuff it brings up. There's some correlations between needs and core values. The main way to distinguish between them is that needs are generally more immediate and fleeting than values. Needs are immediate. Values are lasting over time, over decades. Values really don't usually change unless you make a conscientious effort to change your value for some reason. Your values don't change. Your needs may come and go, but they will align with those values. So there's a really good article also in our resources for you to check out about needs versus values. Ready for the next one? Relationships. Analyzing relationships. It's a common occurrence. It really ranks high in most people's core values, some kind of relationships, family life. No matter how big or small a role a person plays in our life, it's time to it's now time to take time to consider the quality of that relationship. Analyze your friends, analyze the people that you hang out with, analyze those relationships. The nature of the relationship can mean that sometimes the conversations surrounding your life and any changes you might need to make can feel a little awkward or cause some pain. What do I mean by that? Well, as much as we can change our own beliefs, our own habits and everyday practice to suit our new lifestyle, the fact remains that we cannot change another person. You know that. We can't change them. We can't change their opinion or their image. Now, we can try to inspire them. We can begin to try to educate them, but we can't change them. So it may be time. That's why it's time to evaluate relationships. We need to do that on a regular basis and to objectively go look at those relationships and think about, take into account, do they make you feel good? Do they make you feel bad? Do they build you up? Or do you dread those times? Do they bring you down? If they bring you down, you might think about distancing a little bit or not, or pulling yourself back. If it's a family relationship, maybe cutting some of the time you spend with that person. One vital thing to any successful relationship is the underlying agreement or similarity of some key core values. If you find that this relationship just no longer works for you, think about quietly, gently leaving it, not being ugly, just gently leaving it, maybe not returning so many texts or not returning them as quickly, not returning every phone call, not going on every time you're invited. If this is one that's not working for you, if it is working for you, then by all means, work on that, build that up. It may be time to make some changes in relationships. This is difficult. This can be really, really hard to do, but it's important. There's an insightful article in Psychology Today that talks about patterns in relationships and how we tend to repeat over time. And we repeat these things because of our childhood experiences. And we want to grow up. We want to grow beyond that a little bit, don't we? So if we're trying to make some changes and grow beyond some of our childhood experiences, it's time to reevaluate some relationships. This is hard work. Dig deep and be honest. You don't have to, we're not talking about being ugly. We're talking about gently stepping back from the bad relationships and stepping forward and leaning into some good ones, or leaning into finding some new ones. Now, if it's a complete life audit that you want to achieve today, then we need to talk about conditioned patterns. What is a conditioned pattern? It's in our behavior or thought process that sometimes hinder our progress. Conditioned patterns are things that we've usually been taught or learned before the age of 6 years old. They're deeply embedded in us. And they're attitudes of our parents or caregivers. They're part of identifying our core values is to identify these thought patterns and to acknowledge they do have a huge impact on our life. And we can look at this and decide, are these the things that we want to remain in our life? Are these the core values we really want? Or do we need to make some changes here? This can be difficult, but it can be done. Remember, progressive mental alignment. It doesn't hurt to look at this at least once or twice in your life and to see if this is still the way you want to be. The things that you learned as a very, very early age, the things you inherited from a young age. Once you've identified them, you can, if you want to separate them or change, you can separate from those things. You're under no obligation to follow those same patterns. You can separate your thought, you can step away from it, or you can choose to embrace it even further. It is time to take a look at that. The following article in Austin Primal Fitness talks about this, about conditioned beliefs and the impact they have on us, on our lives. and on our goals. It's important to understand that these are things that work on the subconscious level, and they influence all our decisions, they influence our relationships. And so by going back and digging deep and identifying that, sometimes we can find out why we keep repeating negative patterns and why things aren't working for us. I challenge you to dig deep, spend some time on this, make some notes. Well, another part of our life is our environmental check. It affects our mental and physical health a lot more than you might think. Things like the places we live, the space we sleep in, the area we work in, even the quality of the light and the air and the sound in the place, they influence our perception of life. So thinking about these various elements of our current living environment may be impacting our problem, may be impacting the things that we've identified that we need to start changing. Here's some questions. Is your house cluttered? I have a friend that has done quite well with her book about uncluttering her space. Science has proven that cluttered and messy living spaces actually significantly affect our happiness, clarity, and even our anxiety levels. Just clearing our space, decluttering, can give us a sense of peace and calmness. Is our home environment bright or dark, large or small? These factors can also impact our overall mentality when we get home after a long day. The space that we consider our home, or the space that we work in if we're working from home, or have a very important part of our internal physical landscape. Think about color, think about painting, think about hanging pictures or slogans or motivational quotes on the wall. If you're aware that something in your environment needs changing, it's worth the time to do so, even if it means investing a little more time, a little more money or effort than you're accustomed to doing. You can do a spring clean. Sometimes it needs to be more than that, but spring clean, getting rid of things that you don't need, extra clothes, things that you don't need, knickknacks that you don't need. It may be time to do that. The possibilities, get creative about this, and you'll find that you feel all the better for doing it. So perhaps you identified your work environment or your career as an area that you wanted to look at and take a real serious deep dive. Are you thinking about a career change, or perhaps you're in the middle of one, or perhaps you've just made one? What does that mean? Sometimes it's the most difficult, can come in the form of altering our workspaces. Identifying whether the problem lies in the job itself or simply in the environment. That can help. If you've identified your career as an area which causes needless stress and anxiety for you and not just the space, think about things that you can do to change that up. Do you have to stay in the office? Do you have to work from home? Can you change that up? Is it possible to find a new position in a similar field? Do you have the resources, desire, or just to upskill and change directions completely? Do you want to do that? Remember that career changes do not mean you have failed, and they do not make you any less skilled. It actually reflects positively on your ability to recognize stressors and parts of your life that are out of alignment. Ultimately, something which strengthens your values as an employee makes it's better for you because you're more likely to perform well at a job you're passionate about. So it's worth the effort to look at our job and our careers, because if we're not excited and passionate about it, we're not going to perform as well. We're not going to be engaged as much. And employee engagement is a huge term that corporations are spending billions of dollars trying to figure out. We all need to be engaged and happy and fulfilled in what we do. So taking some time to look at whether it's the job itself, the environment you're working in, can you make a semi-lateral move, or do you need to strike out on your own? These are all important questions to ask yourself. And none of them are right or wrong, just what works for you and what aligns with your values. Good luck. Good luck and happy careering. Do you need to make a career change? Well, it's difficult. It's normal to have some doubts about uprooting everything you've worked for. Asking yourself questions like the ones we've talked about can help if you're still a little uncertain about the job versus work environment. Let me ask some further questions. Does my current job align with my core values and allow me to feel a true sense of fulfillment? Does my current workspace cause me stress and anxiety just by thinking about it? If just thinking about it gives you stress, it's time to do a little something different, isn't it? What can I do to change it? What can I do to make it better? Am I using my passions and hobbies in my work? Can I find a way to integrate them into my work life, my passions and my hobbies? It's understandable that career changes are among the life shifts which may not be as straightforward as others. It also helps to consider the bigger picture and plan ahead. The bigger picture. You may find that you're not all that fulfilled, but you're not ready to make a complete jump. So some people do what they call a side hustle. They begin to work something on the side, part-time, and build that up and put themselves into that. And as that grows, then they reach the point where they can make a decision if they're ready to jump ship from the job they have to the new thing or not. They may find that they don't want to, but it will give you a chance to find out. One important thing to remember is don't close yourself off to any possibilities. If the career question is still causing you stress, try relaxing into the possibility that you can do anything. You really can do anything. If you can think it, if you can dream it, you can do it. You just have to find a way. There's always a way. Believe yourself capable of starting and achieving anything, and more than likely, it will succeed. The bottom line here is that getting honest with ourselves about our current situation and work environment is the first step to making any changes, getting really honest. What about spiritual and mental health? Spiritual and mental health, although they're not exactly the same thing, they kind of go together. We can talk about them together. Without health and well-being, without a strong mind and a strong heart and spirit, I mean a physical heart, that's part of it too, but I'm talking about our inner being, a strength of character, then all the rest of this doesn't really matter, does it? Because we won't be able to enjoy it to its fullest. Consider all the things that you could be achieving, all of the creativity, passion, and mental energy you could be putting towards your goals if only your mind and body are clear and balanced and able to work with the flow. You might find that health and well-being are high on your list of core values and you aren't doing well heeding this. Your mind and body may be exposed to habits and things that negatively impact them. Deciding on a course of action to rectify this will be key to your life audit. The good news is that almost all life audits involve improving some area of health and well-being that are currently not being attended to. As you're going through the typical areas of your life audit, ask yourself how each one makes you feel and how it impacts your mental and physical health. It should be a big factor in many of your decisions. Spiritual and mental health. We need to keep our mind sharp and our spirit strong. And one way to help with this is meditation. Meditation is not a new philosophy. It's been around centuries and kind of new to the Western world, perhaps. And many people engage in prayer. People of faith engage in prayer, which isn't exactly the same thing, but it's so close that it fulfills the same kind of things. It's just an idea of sitting back, really emptying your mind and relaxing and listening to your inner self, listening to the spirit within you, if you will, listening to your core chakra or whatever, listening to what is coming out from you, from your spirit, or from whatever is going on inside. So it's a way to quiet the mind. And sometimes silencing our mind and emotions is a difficult thing to do. We try writing or journaling or doing other things, and that doesn't always work. But sitting down and intentionally shutting down the mind and begin just listening to our inner being can help that. And sometimes we find that we have it makes real discoveries about what's important. So we quiet that mental chatter. It helps us to have an overall sense of self-awareness, happiness, and well-being. And it fits very nicely. Meditation and prayer fits very nicely into this. It's in a control group of working people. This is in an article by Forbes magazine. A core group of working people who practice loving kindness meditation over a 7-week period, they found that they were changed in many, many ways. And so you may find that article is referenced in the resource guide, and that is very, very interesting. that it can change our inner landscape just by relaxing into ourselves and letting our inner being, our spirit, speak to us. You got a comment about meditation or want to give a testimony about meditation or prayer, feel free to put it in the chat. Send me a note. Fitness and health. It is all connected, isn't it? It's difficult to look at a life audit without talking about fitness and health. After all, if we don't have a strong, healthy body, the rest of it kind of doesn't really matter, does it? Remember, there's very little that won't be affected by improving this area of our life. And here's some tips to help make it work. If you make fitness a priority, that's good, but don't get too obsessed, because you might find that you go through phases of being dedicated to a fitness plan and then fall off the bandwagon once in a while. Well, that's normal, and it's okay. Another tip is to set small, achievable fitness goals to combat those periodic spurts of fitness focus. Set yourself some smaller goals and recognize and celebrate each one, because chances are you're going to need to use your energies in other areas of your life. You can't just focus on one area. It's going to have to go other places in your life audit quest. So be good with that. Recognize that even small changes, 10 to 15 minutes of exercise a day, whatever kind of activity brings you joy. Don't do something you hate. There's no point in that. You're not going to stay with it and you're not going to enjoy it. If you enjoy jogging, then jog. If you enjoy weightlifting, then lift weights. If you enjoy walking in the woods, then walk in the woods. But 10 to 15 minutes of some activity you enjoy, jump roping, jump rope, do whatever is fun for you. Inline skating, whatever is fun for you, do that. That's what you do. Don't join a gym if you hate a gym. Join a gym if you hate being outside, and whatever works for you, do that. If you love to do whatever it is you love to do, that's what you need to spend time doing, because that's what will draw you to it again and again. And because spending 20 minutes doing something you love will actually do more for you than 2 hours of something you hate. And it'll bring you joy waking up in the morning, and when you go to bed, it'll just bring so much more peace to your life. If you haven't already set out to maximize your fitness and health as part of your life audit, I strongly recommend taking that into consideration. It doesn't have to be a huge change. Know that just becoming a little more aware of how you move your body and what you put into your body, it ultimately increases your chances of changing your life and will boost the effects of those changes over time, and boost the effects of the changes you make in other areas of your life as well. Fitness can change your life in ways you might not have thought of. There's an article from the Huffington Post in your list of resources that talks about this. But think about making fitness and health a very important part of your life audit changes. I know this is an area I need to work in. I need to make this more important. Instead of spending my energies, I don't have to spend all my energies on it, but I need to spend some energies on it. Oh dear. Now we're talking about digital obsession. Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is you're on. If you're one of the 2.56 billion people, yes, I said billion people who are on social media every day, it's highly likely that you've encountered the addictive and damaging nature of being constantly on it online. And it's even worse now, of course, since we've been shut in so long. We're online all the time. And that's okay to a point. But understand that the online world is really not the real world. It's not the real world. We need the connection with people. We need connection, hearing voices and seeing faces. And how many of you gone out? I have gone to eat and seen a family sitting down to dinner and everyone looking at their phones instead of one another and talking with one another. How many of you tried to visit with someone the whole time they're looking at their phone, answering texts, and they're not visiting with you. They're not paying you any attention at all, are they? This is not a visit. So, we need to reboot, and possibly even we need to find ourselves. This may be one of the reasons you're here. You're a part of this today. So we need to do a digital detox, which can be difficult in these days and time, but not impossible. Over too much time online and in the digital world has shown shown that it decreases productivity, but changing it, doing a detox, increases productivity. It increases positivity better. It makes more regulated sleep patterns, and it improves relationships when you actually look someone in the eye to speak to them. And even if it's digital, look into their eye, speak to them. Hearing a voice over the phone or on Facebook Live is better than just texting and staring at a screen for hours and hours on end. It's definitely something we should consider when we're taking the initiative to do a life audit. There are many articles on digital detox. Think about looking some of these up and giving this a thought of thought. Be aware that it's not all that easy, especially since we really are working online and we're connecting with each other online. So the way we can do this is to categorize. We have certain times of the day that we answer emails, certain times of the day that we check whatever the people that we're following, and the rest of the time we do something more productive. Think about making a positive change in this area. You know, it can be beneficial. Social media is very beneficial when used in the right ways. How, when, and how you use it. Just look at why, when, and how you use it. Decide to bring it under control. It's a lot like eating, isn't it? We have to eat, and these days we have to be online. There is no choice on that. But we have to decide how we're going to discipline this, how we're going to put it into categories. Can we talk to someone on a different platform? Are there any positive emotions generated from going online? Can we possibly just group our responses to online conversations instead of feeling the constant pull to check our phone and a constant pull to check our emails and our texts? Perhaps we can group them into certain times. There are some amazing links that outline some ways that we can detox from social media. So look at that in the resource category, and I'd love to hear your input on this. This is a kind of a tricky topic right now, but the digital world is really, it makes us feel connected, but it is connecting, but not really the way we really need to be connected. So think about that. I'm open to comments. Give yourself some space to look at this. All right, now we already talked a little bit about decluttering, but we're going to talk a little bit more about it now. It's the life audit itself is a way of decluttering our mind and decluttering our life. It also helps us to clean up our physical environment, go through our clothes and items that we don't regularly use and get rid of stuff. Most of us have way too much stuff. And I remember several years ago, I just felt so burdened down by the amount of stuff I had. I actually felt responsible for some of the stuff because some of it was things I had inherited, some of it was family things, and I felt like I couldn't get rid of them, but it weighed me down. I didn't know what to do with them. And you know what I did? I got rid of them. And that was such a weight off of my mind and off of me. It really did help because this is some tips to go through decluttering your life. Be brutal. Very brutal. Is it something you'll not wear next month or something you don't really like or something you don't really want? Get rid of it. Feel free to get rid of it. You don't have to answer to anyone. Is it something that you might wear on a special occasion, but you don't have any special occasions coming up and you haven't had in a while? Think about getting rid of it. Is it something you haven't used in the past 6 months? What about things, as I mentioned before, that have sentimental value, that maybe come down through family lines, but you don't really have a need for it, you don't really want it, although there has a sentimental attachment, the item itself doesn't mean anything to you, get rid of it. It's difficult, but it will free you up. Think about doing all these things. Consider parting ways with these things. Decluttering helps to create a cleaner, more relaxing and spacious home environment for us. And it helps us to begin formulating the life we've always dreamed of. We can't go forward as long as we're stuck in the past. This is one of the things we're doing the life audit for. We can't stay stuck and move forward. And we can calm ourselves, create a calm environment in our home as well by using candles and painting a wall's colors or putting things on our walls that are colors that we like, or motivational quotes, or things, pictures that just draw us into a different environment. All these things can help create a sense of calmness and purpose in our life. Now we come down to the part, most people start here, but you're not ready to start here until you've done all the work before. Most people start with the action plan. They start with the goals. What are my goals for the new year? And so they start at the end point, but you can't begin there. Once we've established a firm understanding of our core values, knowing what's important to us and what we need to focus on changing in our life, and some of the root causes for the way things have always been, some of the reasons for the problems that we have, then and only then are we ready to think about an action plan. The key to a good action plan is to be realistic, yet honest, and be open about your goals. You've already written down how you want to see your ideal life playing out, so now it's time to put your plan into action. Ready for some tips? Break down your goals into categories, and that's a good way to proceed. For example, if it's work goals, then how about negotiating for a promotion? And if not just negotiating, but work in such a way that you deserve the promotion. How about relationship goals? For an example would be spending more time with parents, meet up with friends more during the day instead of just on nights out, check in with people. How about health goals? Spend 1 hour being physically active 3 days a week. Use what you have identified as your core values, beliefs, and existing resources and overall goals to determine a clear course of action in every one of the areas that you have identified that you want to make some changes. Try the stop, start, more of, and less of method. This is an easy, basic life audit plan. It's simple, structured, and to the point, and easy to follow. It doesn't quite get to the root of existing problems, but that's why this action plan is undertaken after we talk about core values and underlying truths. Let me talk about the stop, starts, more of, and less of. For instance, what in your life or in this particular area of your life do you need to stop doing? An example, stop procrastinating and overanalyzing situations. What in these groups of things do you need to start doing? Start exercising every day for 20 minutes. What do you need to do more of? Make more time for loved ones would be an example. What do you need to do less of? Spend less time eating out. This is your basic life audit plan. It's very simple and it works very well. And we look at it after we've identified core values, underlying truths, and established our mission plan for our life. We have to know where we're going, specifically what we want to improve and where we want to accomplish. So I've spoken of the resource guide. If you didn't get it, let me know. I'd be happy to send it to you. Here is just a copy of it if you want to take a picture. So stay on your toes. There's so many ways that we can start on the path of auditing your life today. And ultimately, it's a very personal path, isn't it? Everybody's different. What works for one person may not work for another. It's important to remain self-aware and able to honestly identify issues when they arise in your life examination and action plan. So here's some basic tips. It's time to go, but I'm going to leave you with a few tips. First one, be consistent. If you plan on achieving change, you must consistently follow through on these plans. This means not skipping over elements of your action plan, or half-heartedly completing part of what you want to achieve. You've got to be consistent and apply yourself with intentionality if you want to make changes. Remember the PMA, progressive mental action. Number 2, be honest. This follows the rest. Being honest and open with yourself about what it is you want to achieve. There's practical resources available, and the belief and drive you wish to cultivate is crucial. If you're to see any lasting change, you've got to be honest. What do you really want to change? Number 3, don't lose heart. When things go wrong, they will. It's vital that you don't give up hope. Merely use this setback as a means to propel you forward and keep striving toward the goals you know you're capable of achieving. And last but not least, stay self-aware and self-motivating. Notice when you begin to slack on goals, or if you have let one aspect of your goal slide. There's nothing quite as empowering as moving yourself and motivating yourself to get back on track. I hope this life audit session has been helpful to you. I hope you've gained some insight into your life and your life audit. I wish you all the best and happy growth. Bye now.